let's see how this goes. So basically, before we begin, I don't want my channel to turn into a teaching channel per se. Like, I'm interested in teaching, but this channel feels more for my personal. It's going to be more for my personal use later down the line, but I do want to help out people who are maybe having trouble with the cases in Russian. Russian has, how many cases? 6 cases, I think, off the top of my head. There's the nominative, the accusative. Fucking kids. Okay, I would shut the window, but it's really hot right now. Anyway, so Russian has 6 cases. There's the nominative, accusative, dative, genitive, and the instrumental. I feel like I missed one out. If I have, editing me will get really angry, maybe, but we'll put it in somewhere on the screen. But yeah, so first of all, what are cases? Because I think, I think this is an important question to ask before even looking at cases, because I think it helps understand why languages like Russian have cases. Cases just, they're an easier way to tell the role of something within a sentence or clause by a modification to the word. This can happen in many ways in many languages, like Latin and Russian, and many other Slavic languages. It's the ending that changes. There'll be plenty of examples of that later on. There are languages where the middle changes, and there are other languages where the beginning changes. But based on these changes, you can tell the function of a word within a sentence and what it does. So that leads me on to Russian cases and what the Russian cases do. So I mentioned there were 6 cases, and they all have different roles. The first case that you'll learn, and you don't really learn it, to be honest, is the nominative, or I think it's the imienny padej in Russian. But it's the form you'll find all nouns in. So, for example, stol, which is table. Stol is how you'll find it in the dictionary. It's the nominative form, which means that it's the subject of the sentence. So, for example, in English, if you say, I love carrots, for example, the speaker, is the subject of the sentence because they are, performing the verb, if that makes sense. So, I love dogs. I'm the subject. Susan loves books. Susan's the subject because she's the one that's loving the books. Okay. The nominative. But it's in. It's kind of one of the 2 essential cases, I guess, in Russian. Like, every sentence will have something in the nominative, and every sentence will also have something in the accusative, okay, which is the other essential case. Now, the accusative is used for the object of a sentence. So, for example, in the example, I love books, or I love a book. Book or books is the subject of the sentence. Okay, so it's the thing that's being loved. I love dogs. Dogs is the object of the sentence because the dogs are being loved, if that makes sense. Another example, I love dictionaries. Dictionaries is the object. Of course, objects don't have to be plural. All the examples of given have been plural, but it doesn't need to be plural at all. I love a man, for example. That man is the object of the sentence because it's the man that's being loved. Okay, so the two essential cases you'll find in every, in more or less every sentence in all languages, but especially in Russian, is the nominative for the subject and the accusative for the object. So if I give an example which uses both of these cases, it would be something like "Я люблю книги." Okay, kniги, books, is the object of the sentence. "Я", I, am the subject. Okay, that's another example. I love my bag. Actually, this is a pretty good example. In my opinion, anyway, is "Я люблю мою сумку." It's not quite bag, it's more suitcase off the top of my head. But or I love my book. "Я люблю мою книгу." Okay. Now, the accusative does change in Russian. However, it's easier than you think. Okay? Because in Russian, the only, at least with inanimate objects, the only things to change are the feminine singular words, which are words ending in "a" or "ya", and some words that end in a soft sign. Unfortunately, you just have to learn those. There's no easy way, really, at least not one that I've found. So it's the only thing only form of a noun to change in the feminine singular. As I'm sure you know, adjectives and possessional pronouns, I think that's what they're called. Things like my, yours, his, hers, ours, those sorts of words in Russian also agree with case, number, and gender. So, for example, my in the accusative singular would be accusative feminine singular would be moyu. The simple way to remember this case ending for the accusative is a and ya are replaced by u and you. A to u, ya to you. The accusative is also used for sentences like "I am going to England" or "I'm going to Italy" as well. So "Я езжу в Англию", "Я езжу в Италию". Okay, so that's the other main use of the accusative. Now, I mentioned that there's inanimate objects earlier, which do "u" to you. Don't worry, animate feminine objects also go "u" to you. However, whereas with inanimate objects, none of the other forms changed. So the plural's the same as the nominative, the masculine is the same as the nominative, the neuter is the same as the nominative. This is not the case for animate objects in the masculine because they take the same endings as the genitive, I think. For example, an example I've learnt for something like "my friend who is called Jeremy" would be something like Mój drug, którego zowód Jeremy. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's the other ending change. I feel like I've forgotten something. Oh yes, that's it. Now, as I said, the accusative is used for objects. So, something like, slightly conceited, but I love me, for example. Ja lubię mnie. Okay. Now, меня is the accusative form of ja, of I, in Russian. Now, you might recognize this from phrases like меня зовут, or phrases like that. Now, this is because one of the easiest ways in spoken Russian to do the passive voice, to use the passive voice is to use the accusative and then I think it's always the third person plural form of a verb. So меня зовут is literally they call me blah blah blah. Now in Russian, because there's conjugation, you can omit the personal pronouns a lot. So for example, я люблю книги can turn to люблю книги or обожаю книги, and you can tell because of the ending. Yeah, okay. So the next case I'm going to go on to is the dative. Now the dative is used with some prepositions. The dative case is used for indirect objects. So an example in English would be something like, I give the book, I give the book to the woman, for example. To the woman is in the dative, okay, because it's the indirect object. It's, I generally translate the dative on its own to as something like to whatever. So nie, for example, which is the dative pronoun for I. I would translate it as something like to me. The dative is generally used in states. So, for example, something like nie żarka, I am warm, or nie prochladna, I am chilly, that kind of thing, as in the temperature, not as in like the fruit or country. With the indirect pronoun, with the dative being used as the indirect object, it's used in phrases like nie nравится or nie nравятся, because nравится translates to something like it is pleasing. Okay, so when you say nie nравится, which we generally pretty liberally translate as I like, it's really he, she, it is pleasing to me. If that makes any sense. Now, the reason why I say this is because while I said earlier that the two essential cases are in most cases is the nominative and accusative, in something like nie nравится, with the nie nравится construction, it is generally it is that you don't use the accusative, you use the nominative, because, as I said, nie nравится is he, she, it is pleasing to me. So if you were going to say I like coffee, for example, using nie nравится, you're saying coffee is pleasing to me, and coffee is the subject of the sentence. So nie nравится coffee. If you want to think about it like that, you can always say something like coffee nie nравится or coffee nравится мне. In Russian, the word order is completely free and flexible, depending on whether what you want to emphasize, which is one of the reasons why case number and gender match up. But you can use sentence structures like in English most of the time. Yeah. Okay. So that's the dative. The next case is the genitive. Now the genitive is used for showing possession. In English we do have this, kind of, in the form of an apostrophe S. The genitive is that apostrophe S. Something like John's dictionary. It would be something like Johna Slovar. Okay? Johna Slovar. Slovar. Now the genitive is potentially the most used case. There are loads of prepositions that take it. For example, unfortunately I don't have any nifty tricks for learning prepositions which take the genitive, or cases or many of the times in which you'd use the genitive. This is supposed to be more of a basic / beginners to intermediate kind of lesson. I'm not qualified, but lesson, quote unquote lesson. Yeah, basically, if you come across a preposition and you don't know the case for it, just guess the genitive, because half the time it will be right. That's an unofficial tip. Don't tell anyone I said that, but just guess and use the genitive because it's probably going to be right. Yeah. Okay, so the next case I want to talk about is the instrumental case. This case is used. It kind of means with. Okay, so ja pišu ručkoj. I write with a pen. Ja I don't know, I can't really think of any examples. It's quite hard, kind of. Ja смотрю film. No, it's not a good example. Anyway, the instrumental case means with. Now, one of the potentially confusing things is the preposition s is also translated as with. Now, the way I think about this is the s, it means more accompanied by. Okay, so you'd say something like Ja jeżdżę w park z друзьями. Okay, I go to the park accompanied by my friends. Okay, one of the great things about Russian is you can often omit the possessional pronouns because it's often implied. And finally, the last case is the prepositional. Ironically, you don't use that many prepositions with the prepositional. A shame, I know. But there are three prepositions, 2/3 prepositions, which use the prepositional, which are v, na, and o, or op. Okay? The reason why I say 2 or 3 is because while Russians might say, oh, v means in and na means on, as in like on a building or something, I just say forget that, just learn what verbs take v and na, because for example in the kitchen, na kuchni, okay, that makes no sense. What, you can't be on a kitchen, and there are other examples the other way around. Na wieczorinku, like on a party. I don't think so. You might be in a party, but you wouldn't be on a party. Anyway, but or and or. So that's kind of in, on, in/on, and about. So, o kanani, about my channel. Okay. I'm trying to think if the preposition's used for anything else. I can't think of anything else. Anyway, that's my video. If you think I've left anything out or you have any questions, I will try to answer them to the best of my ability in the comments below. If you just comment, kind of saying, hey, you didn't explain this properly, or what about this? I'll be more than happy to try and explain what goes on with that. And I know I left some things out, like some of the verbs that use the dative, for example. Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah. What works for me, and this might or might not work for you, but what works for me is trying to think logically about what makes sense, because Russian, to be honest, is a pretty logical language. Like, for example, with verbs, there are almost no exceptions, and like the exceptions make sense. Like it's not like French or something where like every other verb seems to be an exception. But if you try to think about it logically, so for something like nirvarza, it's, it is pleasing to me. That makes sense. But anyway, as I said, if you think I've left anything out or I've said something that doesn't make much sense, just comment down below. But I'm hoping this video is semi-useful for people trying to learn Russian with books like Ruslan, which are just terrible, to be honest. Not as in people learning the languages, in that Ruslan is a learning resource. You really need a teacher with it. I'm not a teacher, although I'd like to be one. But yeah, so just let me know what makes sense and what doesn't make sense down below in the comments. I hope this was useful to someone out there. This video was requested, so I hope it's useful for Ophelia, because she's the one that requested it. Anyway, as I said, let me know if something doesn't make sense and I'll try to answer it, or point you in the direction of someone or something that can explain. Okay? Anyway, thanks for watching and do svidaniya.